Michel Haneke's work seems to indicate that he despises violence and the medium of film's depiction of it. His filmography is littered with dissections of it. One or two such films are Funny Games and its remake. In those movies, Haneke takes a look at realist horror films and the audience's enjoyment of the subgenre. Realist in a sense that they are not supernatural in nature, and not in a sense that they are plausible. Funny Games' premise is one we've seen countless times. A family who's on vacation encounters strangers that wish to do them harm. Despite that, the film is far from the conventional horror movie. The piece serves as a berating of the audience of slasher films and an examination of the nature of both the subgenre and people's enjoyment of it. Funny Games goes about this several ways. One way is that it deprives the audience of the visual, visceral thrills of the genre. It strips away the violence that's expected and depicts what little that remains of it in a way that's realistic. With the exception of one act of violence, which seems to be presented in the most over-the-top way, this seems to be how the director views violence in slasher films, as a complete joke. Most of the violent actions presented in the film take place off-screen and are far more disturbing due to the performances and presentation. Haneke is showing us how terrifying these situations truly are. The villains seem to solely exist to toy with us. There's a scene in which they give a ton of backstory and motivations for their actions. However, everything they say is a lie. The scene seems to mock the very notion of a slasher villain having some elaborate or profound motivation for his actions, as such motivations only exist as a pretense of the audience's enjoyment. They don't really matter to the audience, as the carnage is the draw and not the cause of it. That's why the characters laugh as they deliver their supposed backstories. They know we don't really care.
Truth is, he's a drug addict. That's where he's going to right now. That's why he's so nervous. I'm also a drug addict. We rob rich families in their charming vacation homes to support our habit.
Oh, stop this bullshit. I get it. Isn't that enough?
That's good. Hey, Tubby, he's got it!
The scene in which the general audience seemed to agree was the most infuriating was this one.
Where's the remote control? Where's the fucking remote control? Whether it's the fast and almost painless big gun, or the slow, drawn-out...
The moment serves as a severance of any further enjoyment of the slasher premise. We know that the wife and husband have no chance at surviving or retaliation because the antagonist can just rewind time. The killers treat the final murder as just a second-hand result of them enjoying playing with the family. Perhaps this draws a parallel to the director's perception of the audience of slasher films. The final murder isn't presented as some huge payoff. It's more of a disinterested final sequence where not even the killers seem interested. After that, they move on to their next victims the same way slasher icons move on to their next installment. I think it's a testament to the director's talent that he's able to captivate the audience for so long while also subverting their expectations and depriving them of the genre's typical thrills. However, him targeting the slasher subgenre comes off as a bit odd, considering that scholars even today argue where audiences' enjoyment lies. To me, the reason why people watch realist horror films is the thrill of being scared that's akin to the feeling of being on a roller coaster. While the violent murders do play a part, they tend to only serve as a way to raise the stakes. And not that we typically, in a sense, want to commit such acts of gruesome violence or enjoy watching human suffering. If anything, people tend to want these characters to survive, as they seem to yell even in a crowded theater for the characters to do certain actions to ensure their survival. Haneke is right to say that horror films desensitize people to violent actions. However, people are only desensitized to fictional depictions of violent actions, not real-world ones. I also wonder whether he was successful in courting the audience he was taking aim at. The original definitely didn't, as I doubt there were many horror enthusiasts watching an Austrian art house film with a limited release, which is largely why he made an English remake with more notable stars, as to draw in a larger audience and be in the language of the films he wishes to critique. Even then, I doubt classic Sony Pictures were able to get the movie to its intended audience. Regardless, the final experience is a captivating yet grueling one. Do you agree with my explanation of Funny Games? Comment down below if you do or don't.